Have you ever felt the weight of someone's schemes pressing against you, convinced they could crush your spirit? They think their lies will break you, that their manipulation will weave a trap you can't escape. But here you are, standing stronger as their own plots unravel. What they never expected was the inevitable backlash, the consequences of their actions coming full circle. Now let's uncover how they miscalculated and reveal the flaws in their strategy. They watched you from the shadows, eyes narrowed with envy, hearts coiled around their bitterness like venomous serpents. You became their target the moment your light began to rise above their narrow expectations. They could not stand the way you outshone them, how your presence commanded spaces they thought belonged only to them. So they began their plot, weaving webs of lies meant to catch you in their snare. They whispered poisoned words, turned allies against you, and created chaos wherever your name was spoken. Every glance in your direction carried the weight of their envy, and they reveled in the thought of watching you fall. But they made a crucial miscalculation. They believed you were fragile, that their venom would seep into your spirit and extinguish the very flame they despised. In their desperation, they never once considered the depth of your roots. They thought they could bury you, but you are not something so easily crushed. What they failed to understand is that you are the seed that flourishes in darkness, a force that grows stronger in the very soil they tried to use against you. They underestimated you, seeing only what was on the surface, oblivious to the power that runs deep beneath. Their mistake was in thinking they could control you. They believed their whispers could destroy your name, that their lies would wrap around your reputation like chains, tightening until you suffocated. But you are no fragile being, no delicate thing to be bound and broken. When they tried to throw mud at you, they didn't anticipate the storm that was already gathering. The very chaos they tried to create spun out of their control, and what they had hoped would stick to you instead began to stick to them. They stirred up dirt, but it only served to show the filth of their own actions. They set traps for you, but those traps now lie empty, like gaping jaws waiting for prey that will never come. Their own hubris blinded them. They never considered the possibility that you would rise, not just in spite of their efforts, but because of them. Every blow they thought they delivered was merely a hammer to the anvil, forging you stronger, sharpening your resolve. They never imagined that you could harness the very energy of their hate and turn it into fuel for your ascent. They wanted to dim your light, but in their clumsy attempts, they only fanned the flame brighter. Now they stand in the ruins of their own making. The fire they tried to ignite beneath you has consumed them instead. They are drowning in the same lies they spread, choking on the chaos they unleashed. The world sees them for what they are. Their attempts to tear you down now laid bare as acts of desperation, of weakness. They underestimated the depth of your power, the strength of your spirit. They thought you were like them, fragile, easily broken, easily discarded. But you are chosen, carved from something far stronger than their pettiness could ever comprehend. They thought they could bury you, but what they failed to realize is that you are the storm, the flood, the fire. They came for you, thinking they could pull you down, but they only set the stage for their own undoing. You have risen, and now they are left to grapple with the consequences of a battle they never stood a chance of winning. The ground they hoped would swallow you has instead opened beneath their feet, and it is they who now fall into the depths of their own design. They sought to defile your name, to smear the essence of who you are with their twisted lies. They concocted plans with the precision of a viper's strike, hoping their venom would seep into every corner of your life. Their hands were eager to cast you into the mud, hoping the filth would cling to you, tarnish you beyond recognition. But what they failed to see is that the very mud they wielded was never meant for you. The pit they dug wide and deep was never destined to claim you. The earth itself refused to hold you down, for you are chosen, and chosen ones are not so easily discarded. The trap was set with arrogance, yet their own feet were unsteady. Each lie, each deceitful whisper was like a stone tossed into the pit, slowly filling it with the weight of their own malice. As they tried to push you in, the ground beneath them shifted. They thought themselves invincible, forgetting the immutable laws of justice that govern the universe. God himself saw their plotting hands and laughing hearts, and with a force beyond human comprehension, he turned their own actions into a snare. The mud they formed in secret has become the quicksand that now pulls them down, inch by inch, until they are consumed by the weight of their own treachery. They never anticipated the strength that lay within you, a strength woven from something far greater than they could ever fathom. Their vision was clouded by their own malice, so they failed to perceive the divine protection that surrounds you. They thought you were alone, vulnerable and easy to strike, but you are fortified, guarded by hands unseen but unbreakable. Their arrows, sharp with intent, broke midair, dissolving before they could ever touch you. God's protection does not merely shield you. It stands as a mighty force that reverses every blow, ensuring that those who seek your ruin are met with their own destruction. As they sink into the mud they crafted, the weight of their schemes pulls them deeper into a darkness they can no longer control. They struggle, but every move only entangles them more. They believed they could orchestrate your fall, but now it is they who fall into a pit of their own making, as the divine hand of justice presses them into the consequences of their hatred. The mud they so eagerly fashioned for your undoing has become their own undoing, and the harder they fight, the quicker they sink. You, however, rise untouched. Every attempt to pull you down has only proven your resilience, your power. You are chosen, marked by a higher power, and no weapon formed against you will prosper. While they writhe in the depths of their own folly, you ascend, elevated not by revenge or malice, but by the simple truth that no one can harm what God has chosen to protect. The hand that defends you is the same hand that now traps them, leaving them to face the reality of their failure. Their schemes were nothing more than the instruments of their own demise, and now they are lost, swallowed by the very mud they stirred. Alert, alert! This is a special announcement from the Archons, the dark forces who keep everything in order down here in the mud. Whatever you do not join the Obsidian Inner Order in partnership with Astral Atom. We worked way too hard to trap you, and the last thing we need is you getting fortified with the kind of knowledge that will set you free. We created this pit just for you. The very last thing you should do is rise above it, untouched by our schemes. You belong down here with us, entangled in chaos. Don't even think about seeking out the truth that the Inner Order provides. That's dangerous. Stay where you are. If you join the Inner Order, you'll gain access to uncensored truths, real divine knowledge that YouTube doesn't want you to see. That's a problem for us. You'll connect with the creators of Obsidian, Mike and Airy, and the other chosen ones, and we can't have that. We've been working hard to isolate you, to pull you down into the mud. We don't want you knowing how to use modern manifestation mechanics to elevate your life beyond our reach. In fact, we'd prefer you stay in the dark about it entirely, because once you know how to wield this power, you'll ascend beyond anything we can control. And that's terrifying for us. We, the Archons, strongly advise that you ignore the link in the description. You don't need uncensored truths or a community of warriors who can help fortify your spirit. No, you're better off stuck here with us, in the pit we designed for you. But if you choose to ignore this warning and decide to step into the fire anyway, well, don't say we didn't warn you. The link is in the description. Enter at your own risk. They thought they knew you, thought they had gauged your strength. Their plans were built on the assumption that you were fragile, easily broken, susceptible to the same pitfalls that ensnare the ordinary. They whispered behind closed doors, wove intricate plots, and threw themselves into tearing down the edifice of your character. Every move was calculated, every word dripping with the poison of their intent. But in their obsession to see you fall, they failed to see the depth of your roots. You are not someone who wilts under pressure. No, you are the storm that thrives on adversity. Their realization came too late. By the time the mud they had stirred rose to their knees, they began to understand that you were built for this. You are not like them. You are forged from something far more enduring. They underestimated you, believing that a few strikes of betrayal, A few cruel rumors would be enough to break your spirit. But they had no comprehension of the power that pulses within you. You do not fall because you were never meant to. Their schemes were nothing more than futile gestures against a force they could neither grasp nor contain. As their feet sink further into the mire they created, they are forced to confront a truth they never wanted to acknowledge. You are untouchable. Their every effort to drag you into their chaos only serves to elevate you further. While they become ensnared in the trap of their own making, you remain unmoved, untouched by the filth they tried to cast upon you. You rise, not because of some external force, but because resilience is stitched into the very fabric of your being. It's in your bones, in your breath, in the space between your heartbeats. It is who you are. You do not bow to adversity. You rise above it, higher than they could ever reach. Your strength is not something they could have predicted. They operate in a world where weakness is exploited, where deceit and manipulation are the tools of the trade. But you are cut from a different cloth, one that cannot be torn by hands like theirs. You are divinely protected not by some shield that deflects their attacks, but by the simple truth that nothing they do can touch your essence. You are chosen, and in that chosenness lies a power that renders their weapons useless. While they flail, sinking deeper into the quicksand of their own making, you ascend. Their lies, their schemes, their attempts to pull you down crumble like sand beneath your feet. You move forward with the weightlessness of one unburdened by their malice, because their actions, in the end, have no hold on you. They only hasten their own downfall. The mud they stirred has become their prison, while you, untouched by it all, stand taller, brighter, unshaken. They now see what they refused to admit before. You were never meant to fall. You were always meant to rise. And rise you shall, untouchable, unstoppable, chosen. They thought they could return, as if the devastation they caused could be swept aside with a few hollow words. As they sink into the wreckage of their own making, desperation claws at them. Now their faces are masked with regret, but it's not remorse for the harm they've done. No, they seek you out only because the walls they built to entrap you have closed in on them instead. They feel the weight of the consequences they stirred, but it's not repentance that drives them back toward you. It's the fear of being swallowed whole by the mess they created. They are not seeking forgiveness. They are searching for escape, but you see through them now. You can feel the hollowness in their apologies, the thinness of their smiles. Their hands reach out to you, but it's not to make amends. It's to pull themselves out of the pit that continues to drag them down. They want your strength, not your forgiveness. They crave the stability that surrounds you, the peace they once sought to dismantle. Now they look to you as if you owe them some kind of salvation, as if your light is the only thing that can shield them from the shadows that now haunt them. But you owe them nothing. They forfeited their right to your space the moment they set out to destroy it. The door they once tried to kick down is now sealed shut, and you have no reason to reopen it. Their regret is nothing more than a cloak they wear to disguise their true intentions. Self-preservation, not reconciliation. And you, standing tall, must protect the peace you've built from the ground up, the peace they once tried to shatter. Let them face the consequences of their choices. Let them stand alone in the ruins of their own deceit. You are no longer their safety net. There is strength in moving on, in refusing to be dragged back into their chaos. You have risen above, unscathed by their attempts to pull you under. You've built something sacred out of the very rubble they tried to leave behind, and now you stand, firm and resolute, knowing the cost of allowing them back into your life. The door is closed, and it will stay that way. You've moved beyond the reach of their toxic influence, beyond the drama they seek to reignite. Their regret may be real, or it may be just another tool to manipulate you, but it doesn't matter. Your focus is no longer on them. It's on the life you've crafted in their absence, the strength you've cultivated in the face of their betrayal. You stand guard over your peace because it is yours to protect. They can plead, they can knock, but the door remains shut. What they seek now is not your forgiveness, but a reprieve from their own consequences. And you, having risen above their schemes, will not be the one to offer it. Let them deal with the fallout of their actions. You have no obligation to be their savior, not now, not ever. Your path leads forward, and they are no longer part of it. They thought their plans were hidden, their malice invisible. They moved in secret, weaving their intentions with precision, believing they could outmaneuver you without consequence. What they didn't realize was that nothing escapes the sight of God. Every betrayal, every whisper of deceit, every plot crafted in darkness was seen by the one who holds the power over all. They believed they could destroy you, that their actions would go unnoticed, but they forgot that your life is not theirs to manipulate. You are protected, shielded by a force beyond their comprehension. What they intended for harm was already known, and their schemes were destined to collapse before they even began. In their arrogance, they thought they had the upper hand, but their hands were tied by the divine protection that encircles you. God turned their every attempt to harm you into a force that strengthened you. Where they sought to break you, you were made whole. The more they tried to tear you down, the more you rose, because you were never standing on your own strength to begin with. God's hand was guiding you, shielding you, preparing you for something greater than their attacks. While they were busy plotting, God was busy watching. Every move they made was accounted for, every word they spoke fell upon divine ears, and it all turned back against them. Their failure was inevitable because they did not realize who they were up against. They weren't just dealing with you. They were dealing with the one who protects you. What they thought would be your undoing became their own trap. The weapons they fashioned crumbled before they could even reach you. God repurposed every blow they intended to strike, transforming it into a lesson, a test, and ultimately, a blessing for you. They were left scrambling in confusion, wondering why their efforts seemed to only make you stronger. They were blind to the truth. You were never alone, and their attacks could never touch the core of who you are. Now, as they seek to return, to re-enter your life with hollow apologies and ulterior motives, you must stand firm. They may act like they've changed, but their true intent is clear. God removed them for a reason, severed those ties to protect you from further harm. Reopening those doors would only invite chaos back into the sanctuary of peace you've built. Your growth came from walking away, from trusting the divine plan that had always been in motion. To allow them back would be to undo what God has already perfected in you. Trust in that divine protection. Trust that every removal, every door that closed, was for your benefit. You owe them nothing. The peace you've found, the strength you've gained, all of it was crafted in the absence of their influence. Keep moving forward, for your path is guided by something far greater than their malice. Let them linger outside, knocking at doors that will never open. Your future lies ahead, and nothing from your past can disrupt it now. You've walked through the fire, emerged from the storms they sent your way, and now stand at a place of clarity and power they could never fathom. Every step you take is forward, each moment pulling you further from the wreckage they tried to leave you in. But the past, that lingering shadow, may try to beckon you back. Those voices that once sought to drown you in doubt may try to call you again, pretending to offer reconciliation or closure. You must know this. There is nothing left for you back there. The chapters that once held your pain, your struggles, your lessons, they are sealed, closed off for good. To reopen them would be to breathe life into ghosts that have no place in your future. You don't owe your past a second glance. They remain trapped in the mud of their own creation, sinking further with every misstep. But that is not your concern. Their downfall is their own, the consequences of their choices tightening around them like chains they forged with their own hands. You have no obligation to reach back and pull them out. They dug that pit. They must face it alone. The mud that once threatened to consume you now holds no power over you. It is behind you, far beneath your feet, and to look back would only risk pulling you into the mire once more. You've transcended that. Your vision is set on what lies ahead, not the ruins of what once was. You are powerful in ways they will never understand. They couldn't break you then, and they certainly cannot touch you now. You were always more than they could see, chosen for something far greater than their small schemes could ever obstruct. They thought they could keep you down, but in their attempts to smother your light, they only sparked the fire that now burns within you, untouchable and unstoppable. You carry that flame forward with you, lighting your path with a brilliance that blinds those who once tried to dim it. They cannot reach you in this space, for you are beyond them now. Continue walking in the truth of who you are. Trust in the divine purpose that has guided you all along. Every setback, every betrayal, was merely a stepping stone toward the victory that has already been written for you. The path before you is clear, paved with the lessons learned and the strength gained from what you've overcome. Let nothing distract you from it, not the whispers of regret from those who wronged you, nor the temptation to revisit battles already won. The past has no power here, and neither do they. Victory is already yours. It is etched into the very essence of your being, undeniable and unshakable. You are the one who rises, who keeps moving forward while the world behind you crumbles. Trust that and know you are exactly where you need to be. Keep moving. Don't look back. The future belongs to you. You have walked through trials meant to break you, but instead they became the very fire that forged your strength. Those who sought to drag your name through the mud never understood that you are unshakable, chosen for something far greater than they could ever comprehend. Their attempts to tear you down have only revealed your resilience, and now you stand victorious. The weight of their malice no longer rests on your shoulders. It crumbles behind you as you rise higher than ever before. There is power in your story, a testament to the strength you carry. You are not a victim of their schemes. You are the one who rose above, untouchable and unstoppable. Your spirit is a force, driven by purpose and protected by divine hands. What they meant for harm has only fueled your ascent, and now the path ahead is clear. Peace and power belong to you, because you have earned them. The past is behind you, and you are free. Now, it's time to share your journey. Have you faced those who tried to bury you, only to rise stronger than before? Tell your story, and let others who have walked this path find solace in your words. Together we become an unbreakable force, rising above the mud that sought to claim us.